All right. Good evening once again. Welcome to Digitech Zeal. All right. So this is Python programming section. So I would like to hear from us. I know I gave an assignment, though some of us submitted that same night, and I think I've received from Mr. Clement. So I would like to hear from others. Do I still have other persons that attempted the assignments? And I hope you can still hear me. Please confirm my audio as well. Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I do.
My audio is clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, so outside Clement and
Yeah.
there's this other person that submitted the assignment that same day. I'm asking if I still have some persons who attempted the assignments. If there is no other person so that we can move on, just want to hear from them. Remember, I said you should always do your assignment, screenshot it.
Yes.
Okay, Femi, you did yours, right? Mr. Femi, are you saying something? Okay, so maybe you can't hear me. All right, I have Victor.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so I was asking, okay, let's just proceed. I believe, please, I want to continue to encourage us to attempt assignments, all right? When you are learning any programming language like this, particularly via online like this platform, you have to make sure that you follow up with your practice. That is the only way we can measure your performance, right? Okay, so we have been on advanced data types in Python. And the last one we did was dictionary. And we took our time to actually did much on dictionary. We started from how to declare dictionary. And then we also looked at how to access dictionary elements using the key and some other built-in functions.
752.
Okay, so we also talk about, we also explain dictionary manipulation functions, and we did a lot of justice to that. All right, so at the end of this section, I give us an assignment, which I believe I've seen on the screen. So I ask us to create a dictionary for an employee containing the following information, of which 2 or 3 persons have submitted. So I want to appreciate them for that. All right, so we will just want to continue from that same topic, advanced data types in Python. Remember the general definition. We did said that these types of data structure have the ability to store multiple values. The mode at which they store this value is what differs. I believe we should get that right. And in that session, I told us that we should pay attention to the syntax. Should pay attention to the type of brackets we are using for each of these. And I told us we are looking at 4 of them, which are the key advanced data structure in Python. So once we are done with this topic, we'll be entering Python functions. So I expect us to, I want to see how I can conclude this topic tonight, because I want to see how I can complete the remaining two. Remember that we have done Python list, and then we have also completed dictionary. So this section, I'm going to focus on the remaining two, try as much as possible to complete them so that our next meeting, we shall be diving into a more advanced topic, which is either control structure or we'll look at our function. All right, so let's continue with the third data type, the third advanced data type, which is tuple. So this is where we want to start from in this section, tuple. So how do we define tuple? Number one, we need to understand that tuple is one of the advanced data structure, Python, that can hold multiple values. So we need to understand they all have that common definition, right? Okay, and some of them are mutable, while others are immutable. Remember when we say a data structure is mutable, we are simply saying that once that data structure has been established or created, it can be tampered with. Like the dictionary, you saw how we're able to update, how to delete elements, all of those manipulation function. You're just to confirm to us that dictionary is what? A mutable what? Data structure in Python. But tuple is immutable. So let's look at the definition properly. So a tuple is an order. So there are some keywords that we need to pay attention to. An order collection, of items. So going to break it down for us to better understand. That cannot, so this is the keyword, that cannot. Let's pay attention to this keyword so that we're able to know how to differentiate our tuple from other data types. So I'd like to break it here so that we can see everything. That cannot be changed after creation. That cannot be changed after creation, which means in a simple term, it means immutable, right? Which means immutable. So we need to understand, you can say that list is mutable, dictionary is mutable, but tuple is immutable, right? And that is why you see that we are not going to spend much in, explaining much function, because number one, those set of functions that manipulate the value of an existing data structure will be out of it. So we can only use functions that can help us to view things that are within it. That is why we are not going to have much manipulation functions like we had in the case of a dictionary. All right. So let's quickly look at, that is one of the attributes. So please, we need to take note of this in case you are asked, and there are programming purposes for using this. There are some applications that is where you hear some application telling you that once you have entered your information, they cannot be changed. So when next you hear that within an app, you already know the type of data structure that was used to develop that database or that particular application. And there are reasons for this. So particularly when we get to the advanced aspect of Python, you will now see that when you are developing your app, there are certain sections that you will not choose to use tuple instead of a dictionary. All right. Sorry about that. I hope you can still hear me. Please, can somebody reply again? I just want to be sure if my audio is still good. I just need one person. Maybe Mr. Clement or Femi. Any one of them can respond. I just want to be sure if my audio is still
Yes, so yes, we can hear you.
all right.
Yes, so
All right, thank you. Okay, so I will try to bring a real life situation or scenario where all this data structure we are learning, there are reasons why some are programmed to be mutable, why other are programmed to be immutable. So all these flexibility are not for nothing. They are there for something, depending on the motive or the objective of the app you are developing with Python. That will determine whether you want to allow people to keep changing things or you just want to be strict due to probably for security reason. And that is why you will hear some persons will tell you that I think if I've had it with Nigeria INEC or some other platform like JAM, that once you enter certain information about you, they cannot be changed. There are some that they allow you to change, and some that once they have been entered, they cannot be changed. So when you start hearing all this, you now begin to imagine the data structure that was used to capture those information. So number one, the major difference between tuple and list and dictionary, take note, is that the list and dictionary, they are mutable data structure. Why tuple is what? Immutable, which means that tuple allow, another thing again is that tuples allow duplicate value, For example, we can call item twice within a tuple, or let's say tuple does not allow duplicate value. I think that's what I intend to say. All right, so now let's look at the syntax properly. Let's look at the syntax. Remember, I always advise us to pay attention to the syntax. That is what will actually help you to understand. So syntax are a set of rules in programming that help us to know how things are to be done or code are to be written. So how do we declare tuple? Now, it's still that same concept that I told us last time, that see all these multiple data structure as one variable holding multiple value. So which means that the tuple still need to have a name. So I can just say, for example, just to give out the syntax first. So we have, let's say the tuple name, we have the tuple name, and then equals to, then the type of brackets you use for tuple is this. You can see that this bracket is different from the one we use for dictionary. So the same thing, if the values of your tuple or the elements of your tuple, if they are string, we are still using the same variable value storage concepts, right? Where if it is a string, you quote it either with single or double. Then if it is a number, we don't quote it. So that rule still what? Stand. So let's say it's a tuple. I'm just giving the structure. So let me just say item 1, then you separate it with what? Item 2, and so on. So this is just the general structure. So now we now take an example. And the example is that we are to create, so this is the first task. Task 1 is that we are to create a tuple of colors. We are to create a tuple of colors, right? So let's assume that we want to store list of color or number of colors in a storage within our program. So I'm going to start with the name. Always use a descriptive name. I think I've advised us on this before. What do I mean by a descriptive name? A name that suggests the purpose of that container. So since we are creating colors, I will just simply say what? Color, right? So colors. say equals to, remember I said this is the bracket for tuple. So the name of the colors are strings. So I'll just use a string to capture them. So let's say I have a blue, and then probably I have green. Let me just take these colors. So I have this list of colors. Now, how do we now print our tuple? Just like how we have been dealing with other one, how to print all tuple values. Please look, just like I've advised us before, if you have any issue, use the reaction button. And for those that come across this, make sure you like and share the video so that it can go viral. Okay, so how do we print all the value? Now we have to consult the print command as well. So I'm going to simply say print as usual. Whenever we want to display anything on the screen, we use the print command. Right. So the name of the tuple follow, which is the what? The colors. So if I execute my code, let's see if that is going to give us the list of, okay, so we have them printed out. All right, so now let's look at a real life application of tuple. Since we are talking about tuple is what? Immutable, which means that what? Once item has been created, they cannot be what? Repeated. Sorry, they cannot be altered with. All right, so let's look at that. Let's look at that. A life scenario here is your days. For example, these are like constant. Monday doesn't change. Tuesday does not change. Wednesday, these are constant. So if you are writing a program and you have data like this, you can decide to use what? A tuple to what? To create that. Okay, so that is just for us to have an idea of the real life application of it. So another example of a situation where you use tuple is GPS coordinate or coordinates locations, right? All these does not change. So once they are entered, they are entered. All right. So like I said, if you have any question, just signify by the raise of hand, or you just unmute and start talking. Once I hear any noise like that or sound, I am going to stop and pay attention to you. So let's just quickly look at some of the tuple manipulation function. So because there are some functions, just like we saw in the case of dictionary, we have some function, but just know already that these functions, they are just to view, not to alter, except you convert tuple to list, which we are going to see later on, where there is need for you to make changes. You may need to what? First of all, convert the tuple to list so that you can be allowed to tamper with the values. So let's look at this manipulation function. So tuple manipulation function, tuple manipulation function. So the first function we want to look at under tuple is index. So let's see what we can actually achieve with this function. Index. So index is to return. Let me add for the sake of those that are writing. To return the position of the tuple. To return the position of the tuple. To return the position of what? A tuple. All right. So for example, we have a color tuple. Let's say we want to know, remember we have treated indexing. in programming. I believe everybody here now understand what is called indexing. These are numerical representation or the positioning of elements in an array, being it variable, being it what, any of these structured data type. So for example, we want to know the index, which means we are saying that red is at index what? Can somebody unmute and tell us what is the red index number? Let me know if we still understand that.
0.
0.
Good.
0.
Why?
Yes.
0.
Blue is what? 2. Now, if let's
2.
assume that I'm not sure where a particular name of the student that registered in our database, I want to know where exactly it's stored. So I can use the index method, right? So what I'm going to simply do, I am going to print it. So ordinarily, I can just say the name of the tuple, concatenate it with the index, and then the particular value within the tuple, you are checking its index. Well, now, since we want to output it, so I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to use the word print and wrap the whole of that inside it. So the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to start by calling the word, the container, which is the word, the tuple there, concatenate it with the index. So the index becomes a function itself. All right. So inside the index parenthesis bracket, the particular value you are sure that exists in the tuple, that you are checking its position, that is the one you reference, and you should reference it as a string. That is if it is a string. So I want to check for blue. For example, I want to know where is blue index number. So if I run it now, we are going to get an output that says what? 1. That is correct because we just confirmed that what? Red is 0. So if red is 0, then you count red as 1, and then you count what? Blue. I hope we are following. Can I get a response, please? I hope we are still following.
Yes.
Okay. So the next one is that we want to check, want to count is another function. So you can see that all these functions that I'm using, they are not tampering with what you have in the tuple. You're only trying to view things, not like all those ones that were appending, inserting, all of that. So now, the next one, the next function under tuple is count. Count. All right, so what do we do with the counts? Let me try and maintain the same count function. So what do we do with the count? So the count occurrence. I'm going to explain that. It counts occurrence. Now, what do we mean by this? It counts what? Occurrence. Now we are going to create a tuple here, a tuple of number, so that I use it to understand the occurrence. So let's say I create a tuple of numbers. Does it mean I have number before? Okay, let's say what? Number. Let me just use this. Equals to, and now I have 1 here. Remember, these are number. You don't need to code them. I have 3. I have 2 again. I have 4, and then I have 2. So you can see that what the count is going to do for us when we say it counts occurrence, it means that we are simply saying that it will count how many times a particular number is repeated. So if we print, let's say I print the number that occur most, right? And then I call the container, the tuple, which is numbers, and then concatenate it with the counts, just like the index. So what we are going to put inside the count is that we want to check how many times do we have 2. You can see that I did not quote it because it's a number. How many times do we have 2 in the tuple? So it's going to tell me whether it's 3 times or 4 times. Okay, so let's execute and see what we have. So it return 3. All right, so if I also want to check how many times do we have 3? How many times do we have 3? So it's going to also count for me that we have 3 what in one place. I hope that is clear. Can I also get a response before we look at the next one? Hope that is clear.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So the next one, which is number 3, right? Number 3, tuple manipulation function is learn. We also look at this learn before. I believe some of us, we have already know what it's going to do. So the learn is going to count how many items. Going to count how many items are in the tuple. So very simple syntax. I want to also output it, and then I will just say what? Learn. So the learn will be inside. All right. And then what are we checking? It's what number of elements, which is the tuple. So the tuple is, let's check the one for colors. See how many items do we have there. So it's going to output, we have what? 3 items, red, blue, and green. We can also check for, let's see if it's going to check for number. Let's see if it's going to check for number. So let's check for number. How many items do we have there? We have 6 of them. So that is how to use the count, sorry, the length function. All right. So the next one is we have the mass function. We have the mass function, and what it does is to probably check the highest number. We have the mass and the mean. So for example, I have a tuple of, let's just say I have a mark of students after an examination stored in a tuple like this. And I have 70, let's say I have 85, I have 90, probably I have 100. And then I want to check the maximum score there. So I'm going to say print, since I want to see it. I'll say print, then the print, then you call the what? The mass function. The mass function. So what I call the mass function, what should go inside the parentheses of the map, the mass function rather, is the name of what? The tuple I want to check the maximum value. So if I run it, as you know, the highest value there is what? 100. So the same way we can do it for minimum, the same way we can do it for minimum actually. Right? So the minimum is the same syntax. So I can just say print. I can just say print minimum. That is all function as well. And then we want to check the minimum value in mark 2. So if I run it, I should get the what? The minimum value, which is what? 70. I hope we are still together. These are very, very simple command. If nobody's going to have issue. Now the next one is sum. So you can also the function. So you can see all this that we are executing. None of them is actually altering. None of them is changing. So just for you to know that tuple is what? Immutable. You can't change anything there. All right. So now let's say we want to sum. Let's look at sum. We have those values in max. Let's say I want to add all the values 70, 85, 90, 100. I want to sum them together. So how do I, and I want to print the result. So I'll wrap all that in my print function, and then bring in the sum function as well. Then the particular tuple you want to sum up its value goes in. And if you run it, you get, wow, we are getting what? Okay. Is there any error? It's saying error. Where is error? Talking about minimum. Anything wrong with my minimum? Okay, one of the brackets, the print bracket is not
Yes.
loose. So let me run it. So perfect. We have all the values sum up together. All these functions we are using when you start developing apps, you will see them being used. And that is the reason why we are going this trend, to make sure that we get the background sorted out. So we can actually convert, want to convert tuple to what? To lists. So that the essence of this is that once you convert it to list, then you can now start making changes. All right, so let me just look at that briefly before we round off with tuple and look at the last one, which is set. Okay, so let's look at converting. Like I said, if you have any questions, use the reaction button. If you are not asking, it means we are all moving in the right direction. So converting tuple to list, there are times. Now, all these have programming implications or programming purposes, please. You know, initially one will have made decision that I don't want this thing to be changed, and circumstances can happen that you'll be forced to change. So in that case, instead of you creating, convert it to what? To the list, since you just want it to be tampered with. So that is why I'm showing us this. All right, so we have color already. Color tuple. Now I want to switch it to what? To list. The only thing you are going to do is that you will update that particular one. And the way you update it is that you use the same name that you use. For example, the name of what we are updating, this is currently what? Tuple. Now, that is what we are updating. We are saying that store the converted value inside the same place, which means going to update. All right, so going forward, the color become what? List, no longer what? Tuple, and that will allow you to make what? Changes. So the way that is going to be done is that we are going to use list function. We are going to use list function like this. All right, now inside it, we pass in the colors again. So why you can see the center here, the same name that you have here, the same that you have here, which means that was once we convert it, it should be saved as the what? The previous name. So if I run it and I do not get any error, it means it is what? Converted. All right. So now with this, you have what? Converted to what? Tuple. Now, since you have converted, what I will have done is to try to use append, which we learned that append can help us to add. And then you will see an error is going to output. Then from there, we know that, oh, actually, we cannot tamper with what we have in tuple. Then by the time I've done this, maybe your own should go that way. Try appending to what? A tuple. You will definitely what? Get an error. I think we have one tuple that we have not executed. So let's say I want to print just to confirm what I will have done before converting it. So I have number. Let's say I want to add 200 to what? The max. You know, the way I taught us, that means we are going to say, we are going to call the name of existing, the way we refer to it in list, max, and then we'll now say what? Concatenate what? Append. We'll now say append. Remember this, and then what we are giving is, let's say 200. So if I run it now, this is tuple. You can see that what? We get an object that says what? Tuple object has no attribute what? Append. So that's what I wanted to confirm, to tell you that at the state of being a tuple, you are not allowed to change. But now that we have changed, but once this one we have converted it, you will see that this same append that is not working now will now start working. So that is what I wanted us to understand. I hope you are following. Can I get a response, please? At least for one person.
Yes.
Okay. So now we have successfully converted. Now, in this case, now let me try appending. Let me try appending. So if I say print, or I can just do it first, then before I output. So I can say color, concatenate what? Append. All right. So we want to update with, we have red, we have blue, we have green. So let's say we want to put yellow. let's say we want to add what? Yellow color there. Now remember that if we run this ordinarily, if it has not been acknowledged as list, it would even throw error. So if it doesn't throw any error, that is a confirmation that what? This is no longer to the color. So now let's print again. You know, if for us to see the object, to know if the yellow has been added to the initial three colors there. So we have to print colors again. Remember, we've done all these things before. We print what? Colors again and see if we are going to find the yellow there. So you can see that now you know how to convert. So if you have written a program with Tuple, for one reason or the other, you now realize that you want to add, you want to alter. Please take note of this. Very, very important, because if you don't know this logic now, what is going to happen is that you will start all over, right? So any question? Any question? If there's no question, the first assignment is this. So make sure you do it. Make sure you do it. So the first exercise is create a tuple. Create a tuple. This will expose you to everything I've explained so far. Of 5 countries. All right? Of 5 countries. And once you have created it, the first task is that find the following. Find position of Nigeria. Definitely, I know Nigeria is going to be among the first 5. Make sure you mention Nigeria. Market your country first. Make sure there's Nigeria there so that it will align with this assignment. Then, first country, also whatever country you put there, you want to also know. Then the last country. Last country. All right, so this will have been your classwork, but I just want to go through everything because we are no longer, or let me give us 10 minutes. Should we do it as classwork, or I should leave it as an assignment so that you have a lot of work to do, just to keep yourself busy before the next class? So let me take it as an assignment, first assignment. But if you insist you want to do it, if you can do it within 10 minutes, I can allow us. Okay, so any question on tuple so far? Questions on tuple, because we are going to the last one, and that will form the last topic for tonight. So tonight, I just want to round up the journey of the advanced data structure so that in our next class, we move into a more advanced topic. So gradually, we are getting to where we will start sitting down and say, okay, let's develop a simple app, intermediate app like we advertise. So what we are still trying to achieve is to understand the language fundamentals and the structure. So when we start creating some real-life application, we will be able to understand what is happening. Okay, so let's look at the 4th advanced data structure, which is going to be the last one, like I said. So sets in Python, You see, set is something that some of us have already learned in mathematics. So how do we define a set? Let me not assume. So a set is an on order. So when we use order, it means things are properly arranged. Why this one, things are not in a proper order. An order collection of unique elements. All right, so sets do not allow duplicates. So please, let's correct that. So tuple, let me add it here. Do not allow duplicates. So when I was explaining tuple, it's like I missed it here. So tuple allow duplicate, we saw it, we had 3, 2. But in the case of sets, it does not allow duplicates. So you can now see the uniqueness. So if you are developing an app where you don't want someone's name to be repeated, you know, all these things sometimes you have to create an app that has some flexibility. But there are programming purposes for using them. There are sections within your app where you just want things not to be repeated for certain reason. So that will now inform you the type of data structure to use, right? So now, does not allow duplicates. That is number one, unique feature of what? Of sets. So like I said, set do not allow duplicate values, are useful for removing duplicates and performing mathematical set operation. All right, just to add to it. Let's look at the syntax of sets. Syntax. Syntax of sets. What is the structure? How do I declare it? So let's say set underscore name, set name equals to. Look at the brackets we are using here. So who can tell me another data structure that uses the same brackets? Somebody should unmute and tell us.
Dictionary.
Dictionary. Perfect. Dictionary. So let's take note of this. Dictionary and sets using the same bracket. What is the difference? Dictionary is a key value pair, 2 in 1. Why sets? Do they use the same bracket? But set only capture what? Value. Set does not have key. You go around, you see that all of them have their uniqueness. So we need to recognize them. So the next one we can say item 1, just like the way we are doing it, item 2, then comma, item 3, and so on, right? So let's get the structure right. So let's look at a simple example here. Let's say we are to create a set of fruits. Set of fruits. Let's say we are to create set of fruits. So what is going to be the syntax? Remember, I said you learn to use descriptive names. We are creating set of fruits, so that's why I'm using fruits. Then remember the bracket, they are strings, so I need to acknowledge them as. So let's say what this, and then the next one is orange, mango. Right. So now the same way, how do we print set value? Want to print all the values? Use the same print command and then pass in what the name of the set. So by the time you run your code, you get the item listed out. So the real life situation where we can use sets, let's say you want to create a set of students, how do I put it? Attending a seminar. So let me just put it. Let's say another example to make it look more rich. So create a set of students, study seminar. Right? Which should be counted only once. Even, let me break it here so that we can understand. Even names appears multi. We're trying to use a more real life scenario for us to understand where we say values are not allowed to be duplicated. Right? Appear names. So let's create it. So the set name is students equals to remain the bracket. So in this case, you can break it. You're allowed to expand it like this if you want to, a vertical and more formatted structure. So declare them inside. The first person is John, for example. Then I have to use a comma here before I go down. The next person is, let's say, Mary. I just assume different name. The next person, let's say, Peter. The next person is, let's say, John. I think I've used John. Okay, yes, we are deliberately repeating the name. Let's see whether it's going to object the repetition. All right, so I'm also repeating Mary. All right, so now let's print and see whether it will accept that two names. So let's print students. Let's print students. Now, can anybody tell me what happens here? Who can tell me what is happening here? Can anybody tell me what is happening here? Let me follow the same because it's case sensitive. This one is lowercase John. Let me print again. Can somebody unmute and tell us what has happened? Look at the outcome here. As it showed that it does not accept duplicates.
I think,
what has happened, Mr. Clement?
yes, from here it seems it's first it takes the ones with lower cases, and then after that comes with the upper case. But instead of repeating them like we have John twice, he put one, and Peter, he has one, and Mary, he also picked one.
Hello.
Okay, Femi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
Duplicate is not allowed.
Good. That's the first thing that happened here. We have Mary repeated. How many times? Two. But it printed only what? One Mary. We have John repeated, but it printed only. That is what I wanted us to understand. All right. So that will take us to set. Let's look at some functions. Set manipulation also. Set manipulation functions. Let's look at that as well. Now, if you look at the definition of sets, there was no place where we say that set is immutable, which means that what is mutable. You can see that all the four data structures, it's only one that is mutable, which is tuple. Here we can add. So we have some functions we can use to manipulate an existing set. So for example, we have add, which enable us. Let me start with that one. We have number one, we have add. We have add function. We have add function, all right? So now let's assume that we want to, the task is that, I think we have a list of the first one we have. I think we have the first example I use is fruit. Good. So let's say we are adding banana to the fruits sets. So the syntax is going to be, we call it back, then we concatenate what? The add function. So the emphasis here is us knowing that there is a function called add, which is used to manipulate set value. So what are we adding? If it's a string, you also what? Acknowledge it as a string. So we are adding banana, like I said, we are adding banana. So if I come here and I print what? Fruits again. If I print fruits again, we should be able to see that banana will have been what? Included. Let me take this out so we can see it. So you can see that we have banana. And now banana happened to come the first one. So which means that add to what? To the very beginning of the set. All right. So any question on that? So the next one, please feel free to ask questions. So if you're not asking questions, it means I'll just run through everything and then we take everything as an assignment. Though they are simple. No, I told us last time that why I spent the whole of that session on dictionary. Dictionary, once you understand it, once you understand list and dictionary, you can see that the structure are almost the same. That is why we're able to take two. Now, we have another manipulation function, which is called updates. It's called what? Update, right? Which is called update. So update is used. Now, what update does is this. We need to get this right. For example, that add can only add one. That add was able to add what? One. But if you want to add more than one, I think we did something equivalent to this in lists, where we say append was only able to add one, and extend was able to add what? Multiple. I hope you still remember that. So in the case of sets, if you are adding one, you use add. If you are adding more than one, you use update. So let's say we want to add a pear and guava to the fruit. So the way we are going to run it, the same way we are going to call the existing set, concatenate updates. Concatenate what? Updates. All right. Now, inside the update, because we are adding multiple values, so we are going to use square bracket. Remember, we use the same concept. Square bracket is to say, okay, I'm listing multiple values. All right. So if they are string, then you also wrap them in what? The string notation. So let's say here is the first one, and then the next one is guava. Next one is guava. Right now, if I run it and I do not get error, it means it's accepted. Now, for me to see the current status of that fruit, to know if the pear and the guava has been added, remember I have to print. Right? So I print, and then I print the same set again, which is what? Fruit. So if I run it, I should be able to see all of them. Right? So we have them being added. I hope you are following. Let me get a response from at least one person. Victor, I hope you are still here and you are following.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So they are very simple. Let's look at the next one. The next one is we have a function called remove. We have a function called remove. So what does that mean? Remove is to take off one of them. So the syntax is that you call back the what? The container, right? Then concatenate the function remove to it. Once you concatenate it, the specific item you want to remove, you reference it as a string. Now we have apple there, very sure. So I want to take off apple. Then if I run it and it doesn't throw error, it means accepted. Now, how do I know if that actually work? I have to reprint. I have to what? Reprint. What am I reprinting? Same word, fruit, to know if apple has actually been what? Excluded. So if you now view the list, you notice that what? We no longer have what? Apple here. We have apple here. All right. So the next one is if you have questions, please feel free to ask your question. I believe they are simple. That is what. Okay. Mr. Clement, want to say
Yes.
something?
Yes. My question is, when we added, I know you explained it, but I didn't get it. When we added in this set, it brought the one added as the first item. My question is why? I didn't get when you explained it.
Okay, when we added, I think, yes, what I'm saying is that we added one, both the add and the update, therefore adding. But this one is only used for adding one per time. Why this one, the updates for adding multiple value? I hope that is clear.
Yes, my concern is when you added, I think it came as number one item.
Yes, that is the standard. That is the standard. That is that when
Okay.
it comes to sets. You know, under what's it called? Under was it list? We were able to use insert to choose where it should. But if you are on set, just so that you add, it's going to take the first space first and push the other one. Okay, so now let's look at the next one, which is rounding off POP function. POP function. So POP is to remove a random item. To remove a random item. So here we removed, but we were specific on the very what we want to remove. We were given an opportunity to specify that, okay, this is what we want to remove. But if you are using POP, it's going to remove random items. So let's see how it works. We'll find out which one it removes. So now we can say, let's call back the fruits and let's say dot POP. So remember one of the things I told you last time, once you call a function and you see only inside itself without also defining object, you know that you are not meant to put anything inside. Right? I hope you still remember that. You can see that as soon as I call this, what the parameter says only self, which means don't put anything inside. So if I run this now and it does not throw any error, so let me reprint fruits and see which of the item was actually what removed. So if I print fruit again, you see that, can somebody tell us which of the item has been removed? Okay, we still have what we printed before. So it removed what? Orange, right? And that is what I'm noticing here. It removed orange. So that is for the POP or the pole. Now you can also clear. Clear is to clear everything, but I don't want to run it because we are still using the value. So we have clear. Don't forget we have clear. So if you want to run it, just say fruit.clear, right? And then you reprint, you discover that it will return empty set. So okay, we can still use it because I will use another set. So let's apply it. So it's going to be fruit dot clear. You can see what I'm talking about now, self. So you are not meant, once you see a function display like this, you are not meant to put anything inside. That is what it says. So if I run it now, now you see that it's already taken. Now let's try and see if we print that fruit. Let's say it's going to return an empty set, which means you no longer have anything there. So you can see that what it says, your set is what? Empty. All right. So just before we look at the last aspect, remember I told us last week that we are holding a special session for the kids and teens on coding bootcamp using Python and HTML and CSS. So the session started yesterday with a general introduction to computer usage. So on Tuesday, the next session, which is going to start with the HTML and the CSS aspects, will be starting. So if you have anything or those of us that are here that feel that, okay, you also want to have an experience of HTML, how to build web applications, you can also chat me up, can give you a special discount being a student in this particular session. That is, you chat me and you are able to identify yourself. All right, so that session we are starting with the web application and then we will end it with Python. So you may not need Python aspect because it's still going to be basic for the children. We want to take them beyond what they are supposed to know now so that it doesn't take their attention from their studies. All right, so you can tell people around you, parents, this is actually an opportunity for them to start introducing their children into tech from the basic aspects. But before they get to our age, they will have become good. All right, so now let's look at another one, which is union. Union, we have union function. We are still on set manipulation function. We have union. So union actually combine, let me try and put it here, combine two. Union combine two sets. All these things, like I said, some of us, we must have learned them from mathematics. All right, so I will just create two sets. So let's say the first set is A, for example, and it has values. Let me try and work with values that will make sense with what we want to learn. Oh, sorry, this is not the bracket that I intend to use. All right, so this is the first set. Then I have the second set. Second set has 3, 4, 5. Just an example. So if you want to make them together, then we are going to form what? So we are going to say print set A concatenate what? The function union. Union. All right, then the other set you are joining with. So which means the values of B are coming to what? To merge with the value of A. So if I run it, you see that to print out what? All the values. Values in what? You can see that here we have 3. We have 3 here. And here we have 3. But it took only what? 1, 3. So even as you are unioning as you are bringing them together, have it in mind that sets will not allow duplicate. So the common value in both sets will be represented with what? 1 of them. So we need to understand this. These are what we already know. So we also have intersection, another function we can use to work in sets. Intersection. We have intersection function. So what do we do with intersection? Intersection will give us common elements. Common what? Elements. It gives us common elements. Common, to only return common element. So I want somebody to tell us the answer we are going to get already using the same set. Just unmute and tell me what to be returned. If I print A intersection B, what is going to be returned? 3. Good. Right. Which means we are already used to that. So let's print the A intersection. So I'm going to say A intersection B, A intersection B, right? Any error seen? Okay, it's my comments index. So this did not also stand from here. So you need to know, take note of this. We've already mentioned that from the beginning. Python does not tolerate wrong indentation. Right. So now if we run this, what it's going to return? Just 3. Right. So the next one is differences. All these are manipulation function differences. Difference function. So what this does is elements in A but not in B. That is what it's going to do. Elements in A but not in B. Right? So let's print that. So we are going to say print A difference. A difference B. A difference B. Let's see what we get. So that will tell us what we have in element A that are not in B. So if you look at that has gone. So we have elements in A, not in B. We have 2 and we have 1 and 2. All right. So if you check our code here, you agree with that. You can see that what we have 1 and 2 that are not in what? In B. I hope we are following. Can I get a response? We are rounding up now.
Yes.
Okay, so now the next one is we also have symmetric. We have symmetric underscore difference function. So this, let me put it here. So this will print elements in either set, but not both. So what does it mean? It means if I print what? Asymmetry. Difference B. See, so it return what? This. In either. So very simple. If you look at the first one here, look at it here. Here it printed 4 and 5, right? Which are not in what? In the first one. And then it printed what? 2 that are not also in the second one. So that is symmetric what? Difference. Then of course, we have len, which we count. We have len, which we count, just like the way we have it over there, which we count how many items we have in the sets. All right, so I have the last assignment. So this is assignment 2. Once you are done with your, please feel free to submit. Here the group you are in. So assignment 2 is suppose 2 classes register. Suppose 2 classes register for a Python workshop. Suppose 2 classes register for a Python function. Where class A is comment. Where class A class A is equals to, where class A is equals to John, Mary, James, Paul. That is for class A. Then class B. Class B is equals to, what name should I use now? Okay, let me try and construct it in a way that, see how you can sort this out. Peter, come on. Class B, okay, let me use David.
Put Andrew now. Or Luke.
Okay. Since you have mentioned Jim, have you? So I'm constructing it logically because there are some things I want to test you on. Try to repeat some. Then Paul. All right. So now the task, find students in both classes. That's your first task. Find all registered students. The next task is students only in class A. Then the same thing, students only in class B. Then the next task, students who belong to only one class. Are we together?
Yes.
So that is your assignments. Please, if you have any question, please. Let me add another one. Another one is just to make it, create two sets of students. Enrolled in Python. This is what you determine yourself. And cybersecurity. Courses. Use union. Let us see how it can cut across everything you have learned. comma, intersection, comma, difference, symmetric, symmetric difference function as well. To analyze enrollments. So this is enough for you to practice everything that we have done. So there's no question. This is where we end the journey of Python advanced data structure. So just in case you come across this video, you can WhatsApp me directly on this. A request for training like this, 07069665919. You can reach me via call and WhatsApp with the same number. Or you can as well visit our YouTube page at Digitech. You can also check us out via WhatsApp. Just go to www.digitech.com. All right, so any question, please? There's no questions, that we can end the session. Then make sure you take note of the 2 assignments. I would like every one of us to submit the assignments for the next class. Okay, so it appears there's no questions. So thank you for joining. See you have a blessed weekend, a week ahead. Bye for now.